Okay, welcome to this quick overview of Xenviro 1.10. Visually it looks very nice. The first thing you'll notice is when you look at the clouds, it tanks the FPS. We got about 40 FPS. Not looking at clouds, you look up at the overcast conditions and it nosedives to 17. This is incidentally with, if we have a quick look at my settings, you will see that by no means at the top anti-aliasing is totally turned off. So I'm using 4K display. We'll get ourselves airborne now and see if things improve. So let's see, engine generator switches on, AP bleed off, PAX auto high, isolation valve switch to auto, probes on, AP generator switch off. Set flaps. Water throttle is armed. Let's get the lights on that we need. Okay, let's taxi on to the runway and depart, and we'll see how the performance goes as we climb up. I'm not expecting too much. It's a shame because visually it does look very nice, but performance wise is just stuttery and awful. You know, this recent release, much anticipated, Xenviro, and it's been very much panned in the forums and social media, and with good reason, I think, because the hit to the quality is, or performance rather, is just ridiculous, to the point that it is pretty much, unless you kill all your settings, it is pretty much unusable. It is a stuttery FPS killer. Yeah, obviously I don't by any means have the most powerful PC, but I certainly don't have a potato of a PC either. I'm sort of imagine a mid to upper range PC, so this really should not be happening. Anyway, we'll concentrate on getting airborne in a minute. Continuous, landing lights on. I'm going to get my strobes on as well in a second. Oops. No. Strobes on. And I'm going to get the clock counting as well. It's an early morning departure out of Stansted, so we're not in a massively scenery heavy area either. So right, let's climb out and depart now, and then we'll see how the performance handles once we're airborne and indeed above the clouds. Okay, frame rate seem okay at the moment.
80 knots.
Taxi was a little bit disjointed, juddery, but seems smooth enough at the moment. Of course, we'll find out how it reacts as we get higher up.
V1, rotate.
Having no anti-aliasing does look absolutely rubbish.
Positive rate.
Positive rate, let's get that gear up. I'll talk more about Xenviro in a minute once we get the autopilot kicked in.
400.
That's that. So that. I want that on. Oops, there. Auto, that can come off. So you'll see as I pan, it's very yeah, 14 FPS now. This really is poor. And I think the reason why a lot of people are unhappy is because although, credit to the developers, they've tried to introduce these groundbreaking volumetric true 3D clouds, which they can be applauded for trying. The point is, if you suffer the performance, what do? Roll back to Xenviro 1.09, Horizon bug, 1.07, various other graphical glitches. For a product as expensive as this, there hasn't really ever been a version that has fully worked, and rather than concentrating on ironing out the bugs, they've just tried to add new features and unfortunately haven't succeeded to any huge degree. Which is a shame, because as you can see here, visually it looks very nice. But performance-wise, it's I don't really want to have a smooth flight by doing this. That's great. This is how you have a smooth flight in Xenviro 1.10. Yeah, enjoy the view, folks. It's just not acceptable, and I think the developers really need to get a handle on this. Otherwise, a lot of people are just going to lose faith if they haven't already. So I think the criticism that we've seen, as I say, in social media and the forums, is unfortunately fully justified. Anyway, let's see what happens now as we climb through this overcast there, and you can see there. Yeah, we're down to 10 FPS now. I mean, that's just a joke. 11, 10. It's shocking news. And then look, you don't look at the clouds, back up to 30. It's just, see if it improves as we get above the clouds. One can only hope. But yeah, this is just, I mean, yeah, 12, 11 FPS in the clouds. Again, the only way you can do anything about that is to look directly downwards. I just need to go back onto VS Climb a minute, because it's hit the restriction in the FMS. Yeah. Very disappointed, I have to say. You look at some screenshots, it does look fantastic, but that's the trouble, it's just a screenshot, and pretty much flying it is like being in one perennial screenshot. It's just, yeah, disappointing is probably the word to sum it up. How do they go forwards from here? How do I think they should go forwards from here? They should probably introduce, or I'd like to see them introduce, an option where you can have the new features like the wet runways and the snow and everything, but choose an older set of clouds. From either 1.09, 1.07, whatever variant, depending on your taste. And meanwhile, they've got to go away and try and do something about the performance on these new clouds, because it's just unusable. Here we are, we're climbing up above the clouds now, and how do they look? Yeah, they look. I can see what people are saying when they say it looks like sort of whipped cream or something. It's a very sort of smooth and kind of unnatural. I think as we get higher, they should have a better look from a distance, but yeah, kind of like now as you look into the distance there, they kind of look a little bit better, but from a close-up perspective, I wouldn't say they look terrible. They're reasonably okay. It's just something about the texture which is close to looking good, but can't quite put my finger on it. It looks a little bit off to me. Again, the performance up here, we're still hovering around the 10, 11, 12. It's just, yeah. And if we look into the distance here, it looks a lot nicer actually. That does look a lot nicer. Of course, these are on overcast conditions. Probably in lighter cloud conditions we might get some more, slightly better performance, but certainly in these conditions they need to bring in, as I say, some options to allow you to customize the experience without sacrificing too many of you know, your own other visuals from elsewhere. I don't really want to have to take down the texture settings further. I don't want to have to reduce my screen resolution. That's just really would rather avoid that. So again, we're still 12 FPS. Weirdly, looking down at the clouds now are up to 23. So for some reason, at any point, looking above, even if we are above the clouds, just kills it. It's a shame. It's a real shame. But anyway, we'll finish there for now. I will have to think about what I'm going to do going forwards to get acceptable performance with this. Meanwhile, if you are thinking about getting Xenviro, my advice purely is don't. And if, like me, you already have it, well, maybe you're already thinking about rolling back to an earlier version. I'm thinking about going back to 1.07, but we'll have to see on that. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this very quick look over at Xenviro, and I'll be back again with another video in the very near future. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again in the skies in the very near future. But goodbye for now.